This is an XM3. It's a very niche sniper rifle helmed by DARPA in the early days of the global war on terror. Only 52 of these were made. Now, this isn't a true XM3, it's a resto mod from Type A rifles, but we will get a little bit more into that later. So how did the XM3 come to be? How did DARPA get involved? And what happened to the 52 guns? Well, all that is going to be covered today as we unpack the tale of one of the most fascinating sniper rifles of the global war on terror. Let's start with some history. DARPA stands for the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and that's a mouthful. Their mission is to, quote, make pivotal investments in breakthrough technologies for national security. Also a mouthful. To simplify it, DARPA is the R&D wing of the Department of Defense. They are quietly considered the agency that has helped shape the modern world. They have their share of credit in inventions such as GPS, satellites, drones, stealth technology, the personal computer, and the internet. And I'm sure that just stirred up plenty of people down in the comments, but we will move on. Now, our DARPA story begins in the early 2000s when the global war on terror broke out. Marine snipers in Iraq and Afghanistan quickly figured out that their M40A3 was an imperfect tool for the new job. They needed a redesigned sniper rifle, but the weapons procurement process for a project like that would likely be years, and the Marines needed something now. So they put out an urgent needs statement, and DARPA was the one who responded. DARPA put together a small seminar with Marine snipers to talk about their current equipment and their needs list. You can think of it almost like a Tony Robbins seminar or TED Talk, but for Marine snipers to more effectively kill bad guys. Given the long lead times typically associated with a project like that, DARPA turned to the private sector. And in 2005, they contacted Iron Brigade Armory to build new sniper rifles with the desired changes. The gun had to be lighter and smaller than the current M40A3. It had to have better accuracy, clip-on night vision that didn't have to be re-zeroed when coming on and off the gun. It had to have better optics, a better stock, and it had to be able to be run suppressed. Iron Brigade Armory went through 5 iterations of the gun before settling on the final XM3 design. Ultimately, the gun was using a modified Remington 700 Action. It had an 18.5-inch barrel with a modified contour that was meant to maximize accuracy while reducing weight. In terms of accuracy, it would hold 10-inch groups at 1,000 yards. It had a newly designed version of the Night Force NXS, a Surefire suppressor that we actually see here. It had a PVS-22 night vision unit and a custom stock from Macmillan. Ultimately, in 2006, within 12 months of DARPA contacting Iron Brigade, the systems were shipping out the door to Marine snipers. And that meant, well, it was time for the XM3 to go to work.
Hey, no shit, that's the best shot today.
Oh, yeah. I'm dead serious. I'll bring it up.
So what ultimately happened with the XM3? Well, it gets a little complicated, but because there was no program of record, the XM3 didn't have the, we'll call it support structure within the Marine Corps that it needed to stay in the arsenal. To put it in simple terms, the XM3 was an experimental project, and once it was done, it was done. The 52 guns were used from 2006 to 2012. In 2014, the XM3s were transferred from the Marine Corps to the Army, and were then transferred to CMP, or the Civilian Marksmanship Program, where they were going to be auctioned off for civilians. It was the first time in history that a complete U.S. sniper rifle with documented combat history was made available to the civilian public. What kind of prices did they fetch? Well, we can tell you that one of the last ones that sold went for $27,556.
Jake, we can't really show them off right now, but are you wearing a belt?
You're damn right I am.
Who's the belt from?
That'd be from a company called Ciguera Gear.
Ciguera Belts, guys. We're wearing the light inner belt, both of us, which is, I use it for EDC, but it also has the Velcro side, so I can put my battle wagon, or their version of a battle belt on. Our code 1911 Syndicate will save you about 10% off. And they have another belt, Jake, the Emissary. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Emissary, a little bit more rigid. So if you either want a more rigid EDC belt or something that would be super good for the range without going full battle belt territory, Emissary would be the route for that.
Okay. And again, 1911 Syndicate, save you 10% off.
Okay, rock and roll, everyone. Talking about the XM3 sniper rifle today. Super cool.
Very cool.
A blast to shoot. We will definitely be talking about that. Before we really start getting into the gun and the resto mod that Type A is doing on these, talk a little bit about not so much its history. We covered some of that earlier in the video, but kind of the dynamics that were happening in the early days of GWOT. So we've got Dan Brokos from Faucet Tactical hanging out with us today. And maybe before we jump into that, kind of give us a snapshot of your background for everyone.
Sure. I retired 6 years ago. I spent 27 years in the military, 21 were in the Army soft community. I taught at the schoolhouse twice, where I oversaw CQB and sniper operations. Been involved in the CQB sniper cohesive dynamic pretty much my whole career in the military. Now I'm currently running my own training company called Faucet Tactical, and I travel the United States and teach primarily carbine, pistol, and CQB tactics.
Yeah, hell yeah. Awesome.
And I've been shooting with Type A, sort of as I call a sponsored shooter. They're good friends, make great guns, for about 4 years.
Cool. Awesome. So, okay, so if we rewind the clock, 03 to 06 is kind of the era that the XM3 is getting developed with DARPA and all the things that are going on. So I guess from your perspective, I mean, hey, look, it was designed to be a shorter, lighter system than what the Marine Corps was using. Obviously, you're Army, not Marine Corps, but like, what were sort of the dynamics at that era that were dictating, hey, we need something lighter, shorter, all that?
I think the dynamics at that era were, I didn't say we were unprepared, but there wasn't a lot of training. That if you look at more Afghanistan, but Iraq, there's still long-range movements to set up on whatever your unit specific was, assaults or direct action, or even a long-range movement, whatever your mission was. And the average sniper rifle, not just being weight, but the length of the system, the cumbersome of the whole entire system, we don't think really trained that aspect of it. So it was like, oh, the bigger the better, the heavier the better, because I'm going to sit up on a hill and take a shot. So it was kind of irrelevant, but you learn a lot from when the war first kicked off. And this is, like you said, not in the Marine Corps, but total need for that application where, hey, we need to reach out and touch somebody with not something that is so much compactable, but a little smaller, a little lighter, and that way I can move with it at greater distances. And I think that was a good learning point. And there's a lot of, and this was a great conception out of what the military learned in that time era.
Yeah. So would the urban dynamic also kind of come into play?
Yes, it would. I think not just point A to point B on long range, but the urban dynamic of moving quickly from the first floor to the rooftop with something smaller and less cumbersome to get out would definitely come into play. If you look at where the Marine Corps in 2004 Fallujah, I mean, there's snipers all over the place in that aspect, and just imagine what they're carrying back then to something like this would have been much more maneuverable with this weapon system.
Yeah.
I think that sort of work got its role. A lot of smart people saying that, hey, man, our sniper guns are just too cumbersome. We're not used to this. We need something smaller, lighter, more maneuverable for our snipers.
Yeah.
Jake, did you see those deck of cards go down?
I did.
Yeah. What are we gonna do with those cards?
You know what we're gonna freaking do? We're gonna go to our Patreon community because they're our favorite people in the world, and we're just gonna do some giveaways for them. So if you guys want someone from the old GWOT deck of cards that's been smoked a little bit
By a GWOT veteran.
yeah,
Dan Brokos.
pretty freaking sweet, then yeah, Patreon communities where that is about to happen.
Impact. Good shot, Jake. You holding dead center?
More or less. I mean, maybe a couple inches high, but
Nice. Go up to that one that's at 400.
I can't see that target from here.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
I'll go to the one that's 350 though. Oh no, here it is. All right, this is 350.
Okay.
So it's the middle.
Yep. Hit.
Yep. So yeah, it goes just ever so slightly high. Even top edge of the plate and you're clean.
Like a mill. Yeah,
Yeah.
bullseye on the top.
Hit.
Yeah, just go slightly above it. Ugh. That gun's very easy to shoot well. Hit. 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 That trigger is money.
I'm going 350.
Yeah. So hold just above the plate. There it is. Yep.
Woo! Dude, that gun is kick-ass, man. Dude, like little to no recoil.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my target at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no ears. It's pretty comfortable no ears.
Hit.
Yep.
Hit.
There it is.
Hit.
Yep.
Can we see 450 from over there?
Yeah.
On the rock here. Can you?
I'm gonna take no.
No, not
No,
from
I
there.
can't.
You got a bush
Take
in
one
your way.
more.
Hit.
Yep, clean.
Low.
How far?
Look at the target. Let me know when you're on target. I'll talk you where your impact was.
All right, I'm going to target now.
On target, come straight down 12 o'clock. See the first black rock to the right?
Yep.
You're right there. Just high. Impact.
There it is.
Where are you at, Dan?
I'm going on this thing is I'm 2 MOA down, and I am full stadia line to the left.
Yeah, you're playing with some wind out there. Impact. Just left. Height's good. Impact.
Yeah, there you go.
Good hit. Impact.
Oh, I think I saw the tail a little bit there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A little vapor trail. These will be first rounds on a piece of steel at 630. Let's see what we can do.
Way low.
Yep. Hold. 8. All right, we're close. One more.
Okay.
Wind's good.
Yep, wind's good. I want to, dude. I can't see through this thing, but that almost sounded like steel.
Yeah, it was audibly different.
Yes.
Well, that was my last round, so.
Well, all right. I'm gonna call that a hit.
Just right, and the elevation was pretty clean. Yep. Okay, everyone, be back to the gun here in just a moment. If you're looking for any ways to support your boys here, the 1911 Syndicate is a real estate company. We always have been. You've probably heard that for years. No, it's not a joke. It's a real thing. So we work all over the country. You can just go to 1911syndicate.com, hit us up. And we've also got the Patreon. We'll have that linked below. You get some behind the scenes content. We do some really cool giveaways, to be honest with you. And all kinds of cool stuff. We've got Zippos. We've done freaking lotteries for certain syndicate items and things like this. So check that out. Appreciate the support. Back with the video. Okay, and the group has grown. Look at us.
Here we are.
Look at us hanging out.
Yeah.
So Chris and Brandon are the two owners of Type A. And we've obviously done quite a few Type A videos at this point. So
Yeah, it's been a couple.
yeah. I don't think any loyal viewers are oblivious to who Type A Rifles is. But yeah, so I guess when it comes to the XM3 and like this project, obviously it's super cool. You guys have this cool niche market thing you're doing of resto mods of like the Gordons and retro Mark 18s, and that's super niche. So how does this thing, how does this come about?
It was a couple of years. It was about a year or two ago. It was a phone conversation that Chris had on his way back from the Wolverine 5K, I think.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it, right? You guys were chatting about it.
Yeah, I was after the race. We had a couple of cold ones, and we were being driven back to where we were staying, and we were just reminiscing about the old times.
And you were in the Marine Corps.
I was, once upon a time, and I didn't know the name of it, couldn't remember anything, but I did remember it. Furiously Googling on my phone on the way back. Then it turns out it had a really kick-ass story, and I was like, shit, we've been wanting to get into bolt guns. We needed a reason. We needed a kind of a who gives a shit. And that's where we landed. It just was sort of an aha moment. Yes, this is my excuse to make this a priority project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was on his way home and he called me, and I was on vacation with the family, and I was just like, I don't know, let me email. So I got on the computer and emailed McMillan, and I think within like 12 hours or 3 hours they got back to me, which I was shocked. And I got this gentleman on the phone, and he was like, I've been wanting to do this for 10 years. And we've been trying to talk McMillan into doing it. And I was like, well, is it even an option? He was like, yeah, we'll make it an option.
Yeah.
And he helped us with a lot of the original manual.
Okay.
So he was able to provide that. He was able to provide some really important details of it for us to actually be able to make it in our shop.
Yeah, and so McMillan covered earlier in the video, but basically they're making the chassis,
the stock.
Yep.
So they're all handmade.
Yeah.
One by one.
Yeah, so they visited McMillan yesterday, so you guys kind of got to see behind the scenes of
Yeah,
that.
it was wild. Great shop, awesome people. Yeah, just I've always liked them, and I like them more after meeting them.
Yeah,
sometimes that can be a little dicey, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And so I mean, you're saying it's not just like a machine mass-produced part, like
No.
Yeah.
No, they had to resurrect the mold, and they make them one at a time, and we ended up having to order more than the original DARPA program ordered to get them to do it. But they've been great to work with. I mean, everybody from manufacturing engineering to product development to accounts receivable payables, they've been great.
Yeah.
The whole company's fantastic. So.
Yeah. And then, we've talked about this on the channel before, but you guys are also a machine shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess kind of at your core, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started off that way.
Yep.
So when it comes to a lot of the other components, like you guys are actually machining a lot of the other, kind of key components there.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that didn't exist in the market was the PVS mount.
Yeah.
So no, they only made a certain amount.
Which is this guy, correct?
Yep. So that was one part that we had to resurrect. The other thing was on the one behind us, Surefire made the same muzzle that had the birdcage on it, A2 birdcage style.
Yeah.
So we were able to resurrect that and actually recreate that as well. We weren't able to work with Surefire on that, but we were able to reproduce it in our shop.
Super cool. And then, so what else are you guys doing, like component-wise?
Barrel, action, bolt, and then the PDS mount, muzzle, and then I think that's right about it.
Yeah.
And those components that you just mentioned were made out of certain materials for that program. Are you guys using the same materials?
Exactly. There's one thing. So the original XM5 came with an M4. XM3 came with an M4 bottom metal.
Okay.
Versus an M5.
There's some discrepancy on that too, and there's probably some folks out there that have done a way deeper dive that are gonna
correct us.
Rage a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But this isn't perfectly correct. We put a detachable bottom metal on it. That's not a Remington trigger. There's some things in there that's not a 700 action that's been trued up. It's been elevated a little bit. But it's to the tune of
similar to like a resto mod car,
correct,
where they upgrade certain components, try to keep some stuff original.
Right.
Well,
right.
The lug originally was a titanium lug.
Yeah.
But nobody does
titanium lugs.
Why? You machine it in.
Yep.
Yeah. Why not machine the lug in? And it's machined in.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no point in just from a manufacturing standpoint to do it that way for us.
Yeah.
So there's some changes to it for sure, from the original. But it was all changes in the right direction.
Cool.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Again,
enhancing the previous project.
There'll be some ragers about it, but it's not. If you're looking for exact clone correct, this isn't yours. But I'll sell you a stock.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get it anywhere else.
I mean that stuff is fascinating because recently I finished a book on the SR-71 project.
Right on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Skunk Works and all Lockheed getting involved in that, Area 51 and all that stuff. Likening this to that, you guys took the DARPA project, right? And then you guys are kind of the Skunk Works of that. But then,
right.
And this is a compliment, 100%. And then you guys put some resto mods on it, and this is the final product. And I don't know, I'm fascinated by stuff like that, especially when the government gets involved with that budget, and they kind of just say, hey, figure this out for us.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of took that idea and enhanced on it.
Well, and they had like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 variations too.
Yeah.
So they worked their way through different, barrel lengths and thicknesses. I mean, so they struggled with it too in the beginning until they landed on the XM3.
And there was a couple of variations that even went out. I think there was one that had a folding stock. I think, and
Shit.
There was two maybe that had fluted barrels. It's all folklore. Right, but again, there's folks that know. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah, I think they made like 2 or 3 with flutes.
Yeah,
and then those just kind of like meh.
Right. There just wasn't any real win for it there. But this one has the Griffin can on it. They're the only folks that I know of that are doing that over the barrel, quick detach, and that can's great. You guys saw it today.
Yeah, it sounds great.
It does. It's pretty. It
performs very well.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well,
surprisingly.
you can run that gun no ears. I mean, when I was off the gun, even 5-10 foot behind whoever's shooting,
It was.
I was
fine.
cool. I mean, I wasn't rocking ears all day.
Yeah, I was surprised how well that can knocks it out. I mean, it's quieter than the original.
Yeah, the
over there.
Surefire.
That was quite a bit snappier.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, so yeah, I guess on the kitless side, so Griffin can, and I mean, I've had a couple cans from Griffin, and I got to admit, really good cans.
Good stuff. I've known.
And good people too.
Yeah.
They're easy to work with.
Yeah, they're cool.
Nice
They're cool
folks.
folks.
I don't have any qualms about the Griffin folks whatsoever. They've been cool to us. They've been nice to work with. Night Force was cool about this too.
Yes. They helped out a lot.
They.
But like, is this a?
It's very close. It's as close as we could get without getting too squirrely.
I think the diameter in the front tube was slightly smaller on the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was, to my understanding, Night Force did kind of a special iteration of it in XS.
Yeah, they did.
It was originally
They
milled.
remembered the project and they were like, this is what you can get. And we were like, right on, cool.
Yeah.
Close enough, right?
We'll do it. Send it. Yeah,
So you guys talked to him about it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we talked to everybody that we could.
That's
about that was involved. And the sling is Turner Saddlery.
Yeah.
That was the original sling, and
And then the stock is from Eagle Industries.
the butt pad that,
Butt
Yeah,
pad,
yeah, this guy-
that
Eagle
push there,
Industries.
Eagle Industries. I think originally they were just OD green, and I don't think they run the OD, or maybe they just didn't have them when we ordered. I'm not 100% on that. I didn't actually speak with them. That was one of those deals like you go to the website and you're like, oh, it's for sale. Let's buy it.
Just buy it.
Yeah. Send it.
I mean, sorry, the original scopes, though, getting back to that, were MOA, correct?
Yeah, which is what made it a little weird
For the
when
guys
it
that
was
employed it.
Fielded, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the young guys that were going through sniper school at the time learned mills. So it was really the old timers that were like, oh, I got this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that, son. One of those deals.
Cool.
But a neat whip, and maybe the first time that I've ever heard of the Marine Corps getting a sweet piece of gear first. If nothing else, that was worth making it right there. You know what I mean?
For the 52 that were made.
Yeah, you're right. They got all 50. You know, and then
you were in at that time?
Yeah, and then in proper Marine Corps fashion, we were like, we don't know what to do with them now. So, but a great thing. Some guys did some good work with it for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's kind of funny. I was talking to, he's been on our channel, so I don't think it matters that I name drop him, but his name's Robbie. He was in some of the last HK stuff that we did, but he's HK's defense program manager. He was also a Marine Corps sniper.
Right on.
And, so I hit him up and I was just like, hey, did you have any experience, with that when he was in it? He was basically like, no, I didn't have any overlap with it, but I was just kind of asking him about, contracts and how that stuff works. And I mean, to my loose understanding of it is really because there was no program of record, that means there's no support for this thing. There's no training manuals, there's no proper training program, there's no part support. So it's like, hey, if they go down, they're going to go down. It's like, so it just kind of becomes an experimental thing, and once it's done, it's done.
Right. And at its core, right, it's a short M40, so it's not like your
changing the world.
Your whiz-bang armors couldn't have figured it out.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's the way that the people get ground down, and that big decision-making process
Gets muddled.
Yeah.
It just kind of is what it is. But again, it was an excuse to do something that I thought was super kick-ass.
Yeah.
And we've done that a bunch. That was the Gordon. That was
I was gonna say that.
We did a couple of shoe guards, and you're like, why do you do that? What do you do on it? You're like, you just take somebody else's gun, you make it a little bit better, and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like, does it move the needle on our sales for the year? No. No, I spend way too much time on it. Yeah, we're probably frustrated for Brandon.
Yeah.
Like, dude, come on. All right.
Constantly get people calling, can I order this?
Can we do a thing that makes us money? And you're like, yeah, we probably should.
Eventually, yeah.
But also, like, if you have the ability, especially with something like this, to pay some respect and, like, homage to a program like
100%.
that, and you're passionate about it, and, like, we enjoy interesting, fun stuff like this, there's going to be a market for guys that are interested in this.
Yeah. For sure.
And, like, if you have the ability to do it, I mean, why the hell not? Like, send it.
Right, and we're running down this road anyway, right?
Yeah.
We're segueing into this market, in a couple of different facets, and this was a really good excuse to bump it up in the schedule.
Cool.
It was gonna happen sooner or later. Why not come out with our first step into it be something that doesn't exist. Nobody's doing it.
No.
Yeah.
Why? And I
Nobody's
don't know
done
why.
it. Yeah.
Again, it's just, I mean, you guys shot it today. It's
So cool.
It's one of those things you're like, what makes it so neat? You're like, I don't know.
You gotta shoot it.
Just shoot it. But it's
It's a very
it's
nice gun
great.
to shoot.
Yeah.
It's a really nice, very easy gun to shoot well.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, cool factor's super high. Are they, like, in terms of, because this video will be out roughly, mid-January, something like that. So it is a thing that people can now
Correct.
order,
Yes.
if you will.
Yep.
So
Once the video releases, then we'll open it up to start taking orders.
there'll be a number of them that are just sort of on standby to ship.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And then when they're gone, you just start taking your back order.
Cool.
Are they coming painted or are they coming green? I know you hate that question so much
yeah.
as the guy that paints
It's a
them.
rattle can guy.
I mean, we can rattle can them. I tried to go as authentic as I could. I did a little bit of research. They didn't have a lot of matte finishes, but I don't think they did.
Yeah.
Now, again, there's gonna be people in this video who be like, "That's not true." Like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not a historian.
From what I read and what I saw in photos, it was a lot of like automotive enamel, and that has that like
Sheen.
satin sheen to
Yeah.
it, and that stuff you got to spray it and then wait 72 hours to put your next coat on. Versus a matte finish where you're like 10, 15 minutes is dry, you go do it again. So maybe it depends on the right customer, and maybe we'll do it, but they're all going to look like the one behind us. It's going to be the green stock with the black matte Cerakoted action and barrel.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, they're cool. It's clean. It's a fun project. It's historically interesting. You know, and sometimes that's just what you want. You know, you just want a cool gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. If you know about it, you should definitely get one. Or if you don't know about it and you look into it and you're like, oh shit, this is.
You're probably gonna want one.
You should probably.
I wish we should have brought the M40A5 and just had it so you could see the size difference. And if
It's
nobody's
drastic.
really put their hands on it,
Yeah.
it's you get it and you're like, is this something you see at like a pawn shop that's like up in the rafters that's made out of plastic because it looks fake and it's oversized? Because when you see it, it's like this thing is too big to even walk around with. You know?
18 to 22 inch barrels.
No, it's I think
18.5.
This one is, yes.
No, so sorry. Let me reframe that. The original M48.5s were 18 to 22 inch, I think.
24,
24.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And those came in right around like 22 to 24 pounds.
I
Yeah.
trust you. I don't know.
From what I looked, I think it was like
yeah.
22 to 25, depending on how it's configured. And
this
you
one
guys shaved some weight.
Yeah, I mean, DARPA shaved the weight,
Sorry.
right?
Yes.
I mean, this one, you're looking at probably 15, 16 pounds with everything on it.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's with ammo on the cheek
Okay.
pouch, yeah.
Maybe that's why I like it. It fits me. You know what I mean?
It's your size?
An M40 is like as tall as me.
Yeah.
It's taller than my hockey sticks. Yeah, doesn't make sense.
And I think another interesting thing with the research I did is at the time, not a lot of those M40s were suppressed. Where when DARPA took this over, one of the main requirements was to be able to suppress it.
But you need to be able to put your
Night vision.
night vision in front without messing with your day scope or throwing your zero, and you need to be able to suppress it.
Yep.
And you know, in an urban environment, and that it's critical.
Yeah.
It matters, right?
Yep.
It just, and there would be guys that could speak to that much more than I could.
Yeah.
Not a sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just a good piece. It was the right piece of gear at the right time for dudes that needed an uptick in a piece of gear, and it happened fast. And even military wide, they got a good piece of gear that was correct for the job in dudes' hands when they needed it. And you're like, that you write a book about that shit. Because it doesn't fucking happen.
No.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
No, we're allowed to curse.
Oh, right.
Say whatever you want, brother.
Yeah. Sorry, I get.
This is a family-friendly show,
I
but
get
cursing
going
is
on
part
it
of
sometimes.
it.
Right? It just doesn't. It doesn't happen that often, that fast.
Especially with guns.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Kit and some
What,
other stuff.
few-year
they
delay
can
or
go
something?
buy it off the shelf and say, hey, it's lighter, smaller. But to get guns as quick as they turned around was pretty damn good.
But
Yeah.
real impressive.
Nice. I mean, we appreciate you guys bringing this out. This is very cool.
Yeah,
we
thanks
always
for having
appreciate
us,
you guys. Yeah,
And,
thank you so much
yeah.
for having us.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
It was a fun day.
Yeah, it turned out
Good
pretty
day.
good. Yeah,
fun day. We had some detours, and
Yeah.
you know, we're at a kind of a cool location. I don't know if we can announce, so I guess I'll leave it be. But
Yeah.
Right
you
on.
know, thanks to some folks in the industry who allowed us to come here today.
Yeah.
Give us a place to hang out.
Big thank you
Yes,
for sure.
they saved
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, very cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it turned out way better.
Better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Probably did. Nobody was out there telling us,
Yeah,
Hey,
scenery was
you
beautiful.
can't shoot paper targets, you pick up your brass type
Yeah.
shit.
Right,
yeah.
So, anyway, with that said, we'll take you to some final thoughts.
Jake, if you're ever in a legally justified self-defense
Man, I hope
scenario,
not.
I hope not either. But if you were, I would hope you had self-defense insurance.
Right.
The insurance I prefer is called Firearms Legal Protection.
Right.
Right? Now, they have a couple different features. One, they have several packages that will fit your life.
Yeah.
Much like you being single bachelor, they got a package for guys like you.
That's right.
Guys like me that travel for work, I have a wife, they got a package for that also.
Mm-hmm.
Our code, 1911, saves you about a third off. Now, some of the features of those packages, guys, again, my package, I can travel. If you are, heaven forbid, in a scenario and you got to make a phone call to them, letting them know, it's not a customer service rep that answers. It's an attorney, which is who I want to talk to in those situations. They also cover your attorney's fees, and they have a, I guess, mess cleanup service. If there is a mess that needs to be cleaned up, they will send out a team and clean up the mess for you. So again, code 1911 saves you about a third off each package. If you carry a gun for self-defense, you should also have insurance.